Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, welcome to Armoured Warfare. So, my video schedule has been a bit balked. I had it all nicely laid out, and I knew what was going to happen and when, and then I went and bought an Armoured Warfare Founders Pack, which of course, well, you may or may not know, gives one access to a week, basically, of testing Armoured Warfare. Voila! So, here we go. Now what I'm going to try and do in this video is just give you a very, very quick rundown of some of the features of the game and show you some gameplay. I'm going to try and show you one game from each tank I currently have. Win or loss, it's going to be live. Don't look at how I'm playing. I'm not very good at this game yet, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what I'm doing. Just pay attention to how the game looks, the sort of pacing, things like that. First thing, oh, and I should just briefly point out, me doing this video is a little bit like loading up World of Tanks, playing 20 games at tiers 1 and 2, and then trying to base an opinion on the game on that. So do bear in mind, this is the caveat, I only have tiers 1 and 2 currently unlocked, and the current machines in the game only go up to tier 5, I think, or 6, something like that. So, caveats aside, first thing you'll notice is that as soon as you're not doing anything, it turns, you know, the game gives you nice pretties of the tank in question. So, this sort of interface should look relatively familiar to people from World of Tanks. Hey look, Fiora just came online. I will just mention a couple of things. Firstly, you don't have national tech trees, you instead have dealers. There are currently 2 dealers, Wolfie and Shishkin. And they have kind of a flavour for a particular set of machines. Wolfies are supposed to be more flexible, Shishkins are a bit more in-your-face and brutal. So you have that. If we just look at one of them, for instance, it's not just a linear progression. You have this sort of core line, or at the moment anyway, you seem to have this sort of core line of machines that require you getting experience at the machine on the previous tier on that line. And so, for example, to unlock the M60 pattern, I need to have ground out a total of 2,000 experience, effectively, I can't remember what they call it in the game, on the predecessor of this vehicle, the LAV-150, which is the Tier 2. Some of these sidelines, for example the BMP-1, in order to get this, I need to have dealt 6,600 damage to top-tier enemy vehicles in matches while driving Sophie's vehicle. Sophie is the name of this particular dealer. Sophie Wolfie or something. So there are different criteria for unlocking these different branches, and you can see that you've got, these are main battle tanks, like, are these recon vehicles? No, these are recon vehicles, these are light tanks, something like that. SPGs, and tank destroyers. So just to give you an idea. I'm going to be showing you armoured fighting vehicles and light tanks, because that's all I've currently got unlocked. So go figure. Without further ado, let's just show you some gameplay. So I'm going to start off with Sophie's Tier 1 vehicle. This is the M113. And this thing has this little... it's effectively a machine gun. It's like an autocannon from World of Tanks, basically. It's, you know, mobile-ish machine, and it's an armoured fighting vehicle. Each of the classes within Armoured Warfare get special abilities. So, armoured fighting vehicles, I think they keep their camo on the move. But they also are able to highlight an enemy vehicle, if you will, and call down fire on it, basically. And if you do that, then all of your allies shooting that tank do more damage. That's the armoured fighting vehicle thing. Armoured fighting vehicle are the dedicated scouts in Armoured Warfare, although we're down here at low tiers, so calling them dedicated scouts is a little bit misleading, because most of the tanks you face are armoured fighting vehicles, so bear that in mind. Just waiting to load up the game. Hurrah! And we are in. Jolly good. So, like I said, don't pay too much attention to how I actually play, because I don't know the maps, I don't really know what I'm doing. I haven't played in the alpha, the earlier access, or the playing. See what 30 Hercules, straight to town. Bye! Next time, don't fly with budget airlines. I've literally only played a test on this for
Gunner, scan for target.
So I don't really
Affirmative.
I'm very
Driver, move out.
Newbie.
Load stable.
Okay, so that being said, let's see if I can not make a complete idiot of myself. Is anyone going over there? Not really, and I'm buggered if I'm going alone. So one of the things about this game is that you still have capture circles. You can see there's the blue X down there, which does, like you do in World of Tanks. But to capture a base takes considerably longer. It means that base capture is relatively difficult to pull off. I don't think... Oh, maybe one. I might have seen one game that was won by base capture. The rest were won by killing everybody else. Killing all the enemies. So, my FPS isn't the best at the moment, but bear in mind I am screen recording this at the same time. And it's playable, screw it. I could turn the graphics down, but I really can't be bothered. It's good enough. It'll do. And actually, after some of the comments a lot of people made, I have been pleasantly surprised with the FPS I've been getting from this game. I'm running this at max graphics.
No panic. No panic. No effect. No ricochet. No panic. Auto hit. Loader table.
Sorry, I just had to shoot something there.
No panic. No effect. No effect. No effect. No effect. No ricochet. No panic. That was close. Ricochet. Loader table.
I'm running this on max graphics and I'm doing screen capture at the same time. And I'm able to churn out, depending on the situation, 30 to 40 FPS, that sort of range. Which is not
Identify.
shabby.
Awesome. Thanks. No panic. No effect. They're hurting. Target eliminated. Load table.
I realised I was taking that much pain. Oh, I'm all alone. Friends. Whoops, I should really pay attention to the minimap. I think the minimap needs some work on this game. Oh my god, for a variety of different reasons. I'm probably so screwed here, let's be honest.
Load table.
So things like when you're in a platoon, the colour of your platoon mates is not very different from the colour of your generic allies. Nope, do not want to get scorpioned. That thing is a very dangerous machine. Ooh, you do get a...
Hit us hard! Identify target. Ah, they got lucky. Target one.
Oh, damn it. Ah, the Scorpion nailed me in the end. I tried to dodge his shells as much as I could. Scorpion gets a... It gets this low velocity, high explosive gun. So, there we go. That was game number one. The gameplay generally feels a little bit more dynamic. Let's see, a couple of different reasons for that. It looks like that game will probably be a loss, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. The tank destroyers, for example, although I haven't played them yet, I haven't unlocked any yet. By the look of it, the tank destroyers are, and sorry, we're just going to go to the tier 2 of Sophie's tanks. The tank destroyers are mobile, light, sometimes even wheeled machines. You can see the one I'm about to play is wheeled. This is another armoured fighting vehicle, it's not a tank destroyer. Whereas your tank destroyers in World of Tanks tend to be campy, tend to be relatively static, sometimes quite slow. So it's a different kind of style. Oh, tier 2 game again. Okay, I'm top tier this time. Hurrah! This gun also, sorry, this tank also gets a little auto cannon type thing. And then I'll show you the PT-76 and the Scorpion. So this is the second tier 2 from Sophie, whatever she's called. Her tank. They're basically mercenary vendors, if you will. They have tanks from all nations that just follow a particular idea. So Sophie's, so far, the tier 1 and 2 get the best view range. You get these little fecking autocannons that are, well, they can be useful, but they're not massively useful versus main battle tanks. You need the sides and
Driver,
but
crank
then
it.
these are only
Affirmative.
little armored fighters.
Gunner, scan
One
for
thing that's
target.
slightly irritating about
Affirmative.
the game at the moment is that you
Driver,
have to
move out.
reset your zoom
Low
levels
WP.
every single time you load. It's not a massive deal, it's just a vague irritation. I'm gonna go this way. You can see this thing's quite fast. And this is all I'm not going to talk about artillery much or tank destroyers or main battle tanks. So I'm just going to show you these four for now. I might do a subsequent Armoured Warfare video, but this is just very much first impressions because I have never played it before. Well, before a couple of days back. One thing I've noticed is that the slightest nudge with a friendly tank will do damage to them both, which can get a little annoying, but that's the brakes. Also, you don't seem to unlock new guns like you do in World of Tanks. Instead, damn it, you unlock ammunition types in a similar way to War Thunder.
Identified.
Hostile PC.
By the Scorpion. Or one of the Scorpions. Scorpion is a very dangerous.
Loader, Willie B.
Because all these targets are pretty lightly armoured, I'm actually firing like 30 mil high explosive.
Identify target.
Hostile
But I'm
PC.
firing HE. Some
Move, move.
pretty naff.
Low WP.
And so you get over penetration in this game. This means that picking the round with the highest penetration isn't always the best idea. Over penetration means that the shell basically passes through the enemy tank without actually doing any real damage to it because we just over penetrated the armour, didn't ricochet around, and just battered the game.
Identify target. Loader, Willie B.
And so you normally want some sort of lower penetration round. Often they come with higher damage per shell. So, and in the case of high explosive, you know, they'll do crit.
Identified.
Multiple systems damaged.
Scorpion again.
Low WP.
Scorpions are very, very, very powerful. Some might argue too powerful. Anyway. And my wheels are there, so what was I saying? Yeah, so your high penetration rounds are not always the best, and so that also kind of means there isn't really such a concept as premium ammunition in this game. In fact, there isn't a concept at all. Because what you would think of as your premium ammunition, your APCRs, your Sabo rounds, or your heat rounds, are not always the best to use. It really depends on the situation. Neutralize the dead here. This is a bad spot to be in. I might have to relocate. I'm just dying. Ah, screw it. Let's just go and have some fun. This might be a terrible one.
Identify target.
Hostile
I'm
tank.
going to do it anyway. La 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 la. Making a Dr. Zoidberg impression. At best. What? Berg impression. Oh, there you go. You see, I ran away. Scorpion came up behind me and dirt me in the rear. So, second game and second time I got killed by a Scorpion. This might become a running thing. Now, I don't want... When I say this game feels more... the combat feels more mobile, it does. But don't get yourself thinking that there isn't camping. There is. There was the M113, and you can see I did 992 damage. This is a score screen, by the way, and finished 4th on my team. If you compare that with the guy who came top, 6 spots, 3,000 damage, 5 kills in a Scorpion. Yeah. Scorpion is very, very, very good. Anyway, I came 4th on my team. It was a tier 2 game. I was in a tier 1 tank. I'm quite happy with that. So, I've shown you the tier 1 and the tier 2 from Wolfie. Let's have a look at the machines from her competitor. So these tanks should come with bigger guns, basically. Or perhaps more armour. This is the PT-76. Now, unlike the others that were armour fighting vehicles, let's just show you the details. For instance, class traits of the armoured fighting vehicle has the ability to designate targets, which helps augment spotting, 125% bonus to capture speed, or 25% increase in spotting range while stopped. Movement does not reduce camouflage factor. So that's the class skill of the armoured fighting vehicle. If you look at the light tank now, which this is, even though it's not a very good example, but whatever. Class traits, light tank, better handling on off-road terrain, and no penalty to aiming while traversing the turret or driving forwards and backwards. But you do get a penalty if you traverse the hull. But yes, this means that you're firing on the move, as long as you're not traversing the hull from side to side. If you're driving in a straight line, firing on the move, just as accurate as you would be stationary. Or the tank is just as accurate. Your own personal gunnery might, of course, vary that to a greater or lesser extent. But let's have a go in it. This is probably, overall, I wod say the weakest of the 4 tanks I've currently got unlocked. It's not the gun. The gun's pretty good. It's 75, 76mm gun. The problem with it is that it's not very fast. It has no gun depression. The armour sucks. And this is a tier 3 game. Oh, yeah. And, of course, I should have mentioned, time period for Armoured Warfare, for those that aren't aware, you're looking at kind of post-World War II and up to the modern day. So your tier 10 tanks, I imagine, are going to be things like the Abrams, Challenger 2, Leopard 2, the T-72 is the Russian main battle tank at the moment. I honestly can't remember. The machines like that. So it means that your Leopard 1s, your Patterns, they're at T-62s, they're at tier 3. They're the lowest tier main battle tanks that you come across. So, I've noticed already
Driver cranking.
you have people
Affirmative.
complaining
Gunner,
about
scan for target.
the quality of their
Affirmative.
teams and
Driver, move out.
saying it's stupid. I say this is a test. The game hasn't really gone live yet. Now this is fully upgraded and you can see it is not the fastest tank in the world, and yes, this is a light tank. Now in practice, Armoured Warfare light tanks, quote unquote, kind of behave a bit like World of Tanks medium tanks. And the armoured fighting vehicles are kind of your light tanks. And then the SPGs are your SPGs, and then the comparison starts running out a bit, because you have tank destroyers, but their role is, and their function and their performance is very different. And you have main battle tanks, which are the closest you get to heavy tanks, but not really, so it's all good. So I've got my Sabre round, my armour piercing ever loaded first. I don't like the heat round on this tank, but it's lower penetration, higher damage. Higher damage would be grand, but the shell velocity is bloody awful. This thing in a close range fight dies to pretty much everything, as far as I can work out. There you can see, on the move, aiming where to kill. It don't care. The other thing, in case you're interested, is that in this game RNG is 10%, not 25%, so it's quite AMX 10p, I have never come across a 10p before. Missed. God damn it! Stay still and let me shoot you. My first shot should have been aimed better, but you know, I haven't played this stuff very much, so I certainly haven't played this tank.
Ammo up!
I don't like it, so I don't really have a feel for what the shell travel time is. I just know it's better than the heat round. So on this, the heat round really plays a very different role. You have lower penetration with your heat round, higher alpha damage, so you actually use the heat round against softer. And it's an unlock, so you don't It's T62. So, other things worth noting, you may have noticed, you get a little indicator pop up when you're spotted above your tank. And you have a little indicator pop up when you spot something, telling you from what direction it is in. Also, let's see if I can kill this guy.
Ricochet, no effect.
Bounced. You can see over here, you have this little white bar. Oh, I've been spotted. Oh.
Driver, move!
It's a bit slow off the update, I was trying to explain something. That's your camouflage rating. So if that white bar is all the way over your tank, that's your maximum camouflage rating, I believe. If you fire the gun, you know, your camo rating will drop off. If you move, camo rating will drop off unless you're in an armoured fighting vehicle, you know, so on and so forth. So this is turning into quite a campy little game. I don't want to be too aggressive because this is a tier 3 game. I'm a tier 1 tank and, as I mentioned, I really know what I'm doing.
Identified. Hostile PC. We took a hit.
Do not want to sit there and have a shooting match with a squad. This gun is painful. So being an AFV, probably, although I don't know for sure, probably has a longer range than me, and we are losing. I really need to be somewhere else. I'm sitting here achieving nothing. I've been so paranoid about getting shot up that I'm just not doing anything, which is a shame. And it means I'm going to get a terrible result at the end of this game. Screw it, let's move on. I might die for this. This might be a terrible idea, but do something. Bored. This is not a good tank to get bored in. Because it doesn't do things very well.
Identify target. Hostile tank. Identify target. Hostile PC. Took a hit. Optics damaged. Enemy destroyed.
Oh, got nailed by the PT-76 I was shooting earlier on. Oh well, c'est la vie. Managed to rack up a... managed to get a kill and some damage. So, yeah, that's the tier 1 on the... I can't remember the guy's name. On the bigger gunned Dubry. So, how did we do in the LAV 150 game? Well, it was a win. Oh, my performance. Team performance. 626 time. I mean, we didn't have a particularly good game, to be honest. But there we go. We still finished in the top half of the team, so that's not too shabby. What about the game we just played? Oh my god, did better than I thought. 971 damage. And we finished 3rd on our team, but I think that probably tells you more about how the teams did than how I did. I mean, yeah, there were just a couple of main battle tanks in the enemy team that wrecked face, the T-62s. And our opposite numbers just didn't do what they needed to do, just didn't do as much. So, that's the PT-76. So far, we have played 1, 2, 3 games, and we've won 2 of them. Okay. One other thing I should mention about this while I'm at it. This is the Scorpion, by the way. It's the FV-101 Scorpion or something. British armoured fighting vehicle. The 76mm low velocity gun firing high explosive or HESH ammunition. Armoured Warfare. Not going to say this on the test server because there's a relatively small pool of players. When it goes live, it's effectively going to have skill-based matchmaking. It tries to create teams of equal, approximately, badassery. Your opinion on that is up to you. I'm not a fan of skill-based matchmaking as a general rule. Your mileage might vary. But it's going to have it. So, I have 2 rounds here, HESH and high explosive. The high explosive does a bit more damage. The HESH round has a greater chance to do module damage. So what I generally do is that if I'm in a game like this, where I can penetrate all the targets and do full damage, then I would typically load high explosive. And if I'm probably facing targets where I'm going to struggle to pen them, I'll generally load the HESH. Or if I get bored, I'll change around. But we're going to go with the high explosive for this. This is the Scorpion.
Driver, crank it.
Affirmative.
Gunner, scan for target.
Affirmative.
So, this thing is
Driver,
fast.
move out.
In fact,
Load
actually,
AT.
real world, the fastest tracked vehicle. And these actually it's like 80 kilometers an hour. It's actually really large since serves for a whole bunch of different countries. The only reason I'm telling you stuff about this and not telling you stuff about the other 3 is because I'm a Brit, this is a British machine, and so I actually know a little bit about it. I know basically nothing about the other 3. This thing also needs gun.
Identify.
Hostile PC.
Okay, so I've spotted some people.
Load AT.
Hit that.
Oh!
This thing also gets some gun depression, which was such a lovely choice.
Load AT.
Now. Let's not get shot. It looked like it bounced off an AFV.
Identify target.
Hostile PC.
Load AT.
We're winning 2-1. There's quite a lot of them over here though, which is a bit
Identify.
Hostile PC.
Load AT. Identify.
Hostile PC.
Load AT.
I don't like how this game's gone. I don't like the fact that I'm the front line. I should probably go somewhere else.
Identify.
Hostile PC.
Load AT.
Shot into that Scorpion's face. Yeah, I got spotted. If I get rushed here, I'm screwed. I have
Identify target.
Hostile PC.
I got spotted. Let's 6-7. This is not looking good. I probably need to relocate. PT-76 is coming up from behind, and an M113, all of which is kind of awkward.
Identify.
Hostile PC.
This is the targeting thing I was talking about earlier on. Oops. For goodness sake, fingers on the mouse keys, you wombat.
Load AT.
Target down.
Yeah, Scorpion, sorry, I will show
Identify
you if
target.
I get an opportunity. Oh
Hostile
my
PC.
god, that's a Scorpion.
Load AT.
That's terrible.
Target locked.
Nailed it.
He actually hit me.
Target locked. Up. Enemy lit up.
La 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 la.
Target locked.
And he's dead. Sweet. And now there's number 13 who appears to want me. I haven't really used the designation ability at the moment because I haven't really had much of a chance.
Load AT.
Threat destroyed.
That guy. Scorpion's going around the other side.
Target eliminated.
There you can see the really slow shell velocity on this gun. It means that you can just miss some ridiculous shots. Right, we've got 22 seconds to get back to base and reset it. Oh, someone got a reset. Absolute monster. Damn it. I got spotted just as I crested that ridge. I had to go and do something to try and get the reset. We can still lose this quite happily. Even though we've got the tank advantage, this guy's not going to make it in time. We're basically relying on our other Scorpion to be awesome. You, sir, are a legend. You have to kill the enemy. Come on, dude, you can do it. This one's close. Yeah. Ram him! Ram him! There we go, nice one. And we win. That just gave you a flavour, hopefully, for each of the tanks. I didn't get a chance to show you the designate target thing. I tend to forget about it at the moment, which is a bit of an issue. You have to... It's not like, in World of Tanks, if you're designating a target, you just press T when your cursor's hovered over the target and it's designated. Now you have to hold down E for a while. My performance, team performance. Hey, I came second on my team. So, just comparing me with the guy who came first, in a PT-76. PD got 4 spots, I got 5. He did 1200 damage, I did 1800. What's this? Oh, he got 5 assisted kills, I got 3. He got 1 actual kill, I got 3. Not sure why there's such a big discrepancy in our experiences, but whatever. Gives emotions to that LA V150. So, yeah, that ended up being quite a nice game in the Scorpion. So, hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour for Armoured Warfare, I guess. When I have artillery and whatnot to show you, I will show you artillery and whatnot. But until then, we'll leave it at that. What are my impressions on it, having played it for not that long? Right, well, firstly, I've had a lot of fun. I really like this game. I think it's great. Caveats. If you like, or for whatever reason, the slower paced gameplay you get with World of Tanks, this game is probably not going to be for you. Now, that might be because of your own personal preference. It might be... I know there are people, for example, who have some nerve damage, and so they tend to play heavy tanks and tank destroyers that don't require good reaction speed. And they can still have an awful lot of fun. It's going to be more awkward in Armoured Warfare, because in Armoured Warfare the emphasis appears so far to be very much more on not getting hit, but please bear in mind I haven't unlocked a main battle tank yet. So bear that in mind. It's a lot of fun though. Is this going to kill World of Tanks? No, I really don't think so. There will be some people who go to this. There will be some people who stick playing World of Tanks and play this as well. I think I'm going to be one of those. There are some people who will stick with World of Tanks and not bother with this. the time period of World of Tanks, I think, is quite important. That will, you know, people want to drive a Tiger, for instance, so they can't do that in this game, so they'll go and drive a Tiger. But if you want to go and drive an Abrams, go and play this game. I think it's more competition for wargaming, which I think is a good thing for everybody involved. You know, try and have some competition and try and that will therefore encourage wargaming to put effort in. It will encourage Obsidian to put effort in. It will encourage Gaijin to put effort into War Thunder. So, you know, competition should hopefully just benefit us as the player and the customer. Anyway, first impressions of Armoured Warfare. It's probably been a longer video than I intended, but I hope you guys enjoy it, I guess, and find it interesting. I may well bring you another video or two, depends on how things go. But I just wanted to give you this to give you an idea of what the game's like and what you can expect from it if you have any interest in playing this game. So, there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, found it informative or whatever. If you did, please feel free to catch some of my other videos, although they're not Armoured Warfare, but even so. And possibly even subscribe to my channel, that I expect there to be more Armoured Warfare content in the future. And I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield, regardless of which video game publisher makes that battlefield. I wish you very happy hunting on it. Ciao, ciao.